Hi, friend. This is Dr. Apurv Mehra.
Hi, I'm Dr. Zainab Vora.
So, Dr. Zainab, this talks about, I will not say that it's a name in your life now. I think it has become a mission for you. I think the three alphabets that are ruling your world now are B, T, R. And I'm glad that my dear friend Ravi has his alphabet here. So, of all the important people in your life, at least his alphabet is carried here. So there is no Z of Zainab here, but there is R, Ravi in BTR. Now this name, right, apart from getting an alphabet R, recto into it, how did you think about this name per se, BTR?
So, you said BTR is a part of life. I can say that BTR is life as of now, how it's going. And how it started, I never thought it is going to become what it has become, but how it started off was because our seniors, at AIMS, when we used to get our books marked, as all of us do, in Indian medical colleges, we get our books marked from our seniors one day before the exam ki ab kya karna hai, I have no time left, what do I see? So they used to mark it in and they used to triage it. This is what is good to know, this is what is something that you should know, this is ultra important. And the highest level of triage, used to be BTR. They used to write at AIMS कि ये BTR है, ये last day पढ़ के जाना है. So that is how Buri Tarah Ratto came into being. And I started this as a series of classes, very close to the exams. That was the essence basically that I carried from AIMS. There's the legacy which I carried forward to my students, that this is the stuff that you need to know just before the exams, and there is just no two ways about it, that ye to pata hi hona chahiye. So that is the essence. The name kind of signifies what it is not, ki medicine is all about memorizing, which is not true at all. But we can't deny that there are facts which we need to remember, and then there are concepts that need to be understood. So that is what always my aim is, to filter the content into two parts. Whatever can be understood and taught in a conceptual manner is something that you don't have to carry with you in your short-term memory. Whereas there are facts which you need to remember, stuff like chromosomes, stuff like numbers. You have to, end of the day, see it again and again, build a visual memory, and basically memorize. So that's how I have divided the content into. I try to teach the concepts, and then there are facts which you take away with you. So that is how it was structured and designed.
Okay, so there are two things that you have answered here actually.
Yeah.
Number one, how the name came, and the second question which I had to ask, which you have already answered, that the name actually is misleading. It just means ki you have something you mug up. There has to be a way in which even you can mug up, and if you don't know the concepts, it's not going to work with you. So that is what she has clarified, that there are two parts to her teaching. Number one is the concepts, and the number two is the facts, right? The third question answered the first two questions that you have. What problem for medical students is BTR solving, then?
So, sir, medicine is something which is not a completable science. Nobody can complete medicine in general. There are 19 subjects that we have, but medicine goes beyond that as well. But here we are targeting an entrance. We are not trying to complete medicine before our PG exams, right? So how do you crack the entrance is the main problem that we are trying to solve. That all of us, collectively as faculty who are teaching or in the coaching industry, what we are trying to do here is, how do you crack this exam? So because the content is so vast, how do you filter the most important, and how does a student decide what is to be done and what is to be left out? Because you can't do everything. Content is not the limiting factor, time is the limiting factor, one, and your brain capacity, to be honest, is the limiting factor. You can't remember everything, and you don't have the time to do everything. So how do you triage? So that is what my attempt is, having been closely in this phase, for the last 8 years. What I have realized is that the pattern of the exam is something which follows a certain trend, and there are certain topics which take more importance over the others. So what I have done is filtered that for you. I can give you one example. Like yesterday we were reading a story with Zara, which is the hare and the tortoise, So ultimately story के बाद आता है moral of the story. Moral of the story क्या है? Slow and steady wins the race. So medicine पूरा story है. Moral of the story क्या है? I am trying to tell you. So obviously there is no meaning to moral of the story ki slow and steady wins the race बताऊंगी तो कोई significance नहीं है. So I have to give you some sort of backstory. So I'm just trying to do that in a shorter, more concise version, that I give you a backstory of that topic and I tell you moral of the story. ये एक line है which will be in multiple boxes. You take that with you. That is what will help you solve the MCQ. But the caveat here, sir, is that you just can't memorize these boxes and these lines and go for the exam. I don't want my students to do that BTR rat liya. Nahi, that is not the idea. If you don't solve MCQs, if you don't know the backstory, you will not be able to apply that moral of the story to the MCQs. So you have to supplement it. So there are two ways. Either you come from the main content and you end up to BTR just before the exam and you see the essence, right? This is something which will help students who have been very consistent throughout their MBBS, and this gives a very nice closure to them by bringing everything together. The other way for students who are starting out, which I tend to tell them, is that pehle BTR dekh lo. This way you will know that itna to karna hi hai, and then add up with the other lectures, add up with the other content that you have, and that way you will know that this is fundamental, and then I have all of these other things which will take you from moral of the story to the story. So it can be done both ways depending on what kind suits you, So that is how BTR will help you ki itna to karna hi hai, basically.
Right. So what I understand, I've drawn three things for you.
Yeah.
Box A is the detailed content.
Yeah.
Box B goes from where Zainab starts. And point is the main point where Zainab finishes. And she says that B plus MCQs is something you have to do. And if you have any doubt, then go from A, B, and then dot. This is what we understand, right?
Yeah.
So main content is huge. But if you are somebody who's consistent, and there's a rule, right? When I was writing my book, right? And this is what my teacher taught me. If anybody reads the whole book, he will benefit the most. If somebody reads the book with the summary, he will benefit more. And then if somebody reads the book with the summary with the key points, he will benefit the most. So these are three categories, right? So what Zainab is trying to tell here is there has to be concept that you have to understand, and there are points that you need to memorize. And if you're preparing or starting to prepare, then you know in this particular chapter, these are the key areas that you need to know very well. And that is what is the PYTs or the PYQs there are there.
Yes.
And along with the variety of MCQs, because finally entrance exam in India are MCQ based exams. And till the moment you don't learn this art, you are never going to crack it, right? So this is my fourth question, Zainab. You have created something for students near the exam. This was transferred to you from your own college. You have solved a problem that these are the key areas to revise. How do you visualize BTR going forward in the future? What's your aim? Means online, offline? What are you planning? What is your dream for BTR?
So there are a lot of dreams and a lot of plans, but what I want to say is that, right now what we're doing in BTR is a test and discussion kind of a thing on online BTR, and that seems to be working really well because, as we said, MCQs are one of the most important things. And if I can teach you one thing, I don't want to teach you content and theory. I want to teach you how to solve MCQs. I know little bit of everything. How do I still manage to take the most intelligent guess, and how do I still end up with the right answer? So that is what is my aim now, to teach and to show how to solve MCQs, how to go through different kinds of questions, because we have been trained to solve one-liners, and that's something that all of us do pretty well because we are thorough with the facts. But how do you dissect a clinical question? How do you reach the answer? So all of those things we are working on now with the test and discussion, and that is something that I want to continue doing with online BTR. And then we obviously try and squeeze it in right before the exam with our mega BTR series, wherein, in 3 to 4 hours, we concise the information even further, that okay, this is the ultra filtrate of BTR, So that is what is happening. And something similar we do in offline BTR. Offline BTR helps us have that feeling. I think why offline BTR is so special is because of the ambience. You have 1,000 people sitting in a hall who are all answering and who are all revising simultaneously. I think that's the best part about it, and the kind of feedback that I get, that ma'am, this is working, so that is why offline is special, that you tend to bring all 19 subjects together in a span of 3 days. So that's why it works very well. So this is what we've done so far. A dream would be that right now I'm teaching you, how to study and how the information should be processed. A dream would be to be with you and show you how it's to be done, you know. So hand holding even further, if possible, would be the dream. So let's see if we
Let's
can
stop
get
at
that
this point. This
possible.
should be secret for the future. So what I understand is one of my teacher told me how much you see a lion on the screen, you still go to a zoo to see it. You still go to a jungle to see it. And that's what Zainab is in offline. I remember this incident. I always try to keep her stay grounded. But with the fame she has, with the name she has, I know how she manages it. But still, she is extremely humble for the aura she creates. But I remember I was in Mumbai BTR, and I saw two girls behind her, and one of the girl touched her, and as she was brushing through the crowd for the stage, and the second one also touched, and they gave a high five to each other. They had touched Zainab, and I saw this because I was on the stage and she was coming up, and when I saw this, it was like a feeling that I don't know. There was a different feeling and joy in them to touch Zainab, and they are all looking at you. For me, the dream is that Zainab creates more Zainabs. This is the dream actually for us to be in India. You are in India. You are teaching students to become specialists in their field. The aim of Zainab is to see that we improve the overall clinical and the clinicians in here in the country, so that we have a better status for the medical education. If you look at the Indian brains and the Indian doctors, they go to any place in the world, they are at the top.
Yeah.
And this is what, if you are staying in the country, you are almost patriotic. ये proven है. And if we are helping you crack this exam, that is what I look at. My last question to conclude, question number 5, right? You are a mother of a tremendous baby. She is 2+.
Yeah.
You have a brilliant husband, Ravi, right? A very, very noble human being. You yourself have a family to take care. And you are rearing BTR to a beautiful giant as it's growing. How do you balance it out?
I don't have a choice. As you said, the amount of love that I have gotten brings a certain level of responsibility, not a certain level, a very big responsibility on me that I have to give back to the students, for the faith and the trust that they have shown on me. I don't have a choice but to balance. And, that's how it happens. It just happens. And I don't set out to balance, but I do what is needed to be done, such that, Zara gets her time from me, and my students get the time that they deserve. So it's just the result.
In fact, it's a triangle. The students are blessing your family.
Yeah, absolutely.
So their blessings are taking guard of the family. The students are blessing your efforts. So I think the combination of love and blessing is something which is driving the balance in a life. That's how I will like to summarize.
Absolutely.
And staying close to BTR and seeing it grow the way she's doing it, I can promise you one thing, right? If I draw an iceberg here, and if you think that Zainab is working hard, you are only seeing the tip. You are not seeing the circumference around where she's working, which is about 1,000 times more. And this is what I would like to conclude this with is, may BTR serve the purpose of being a program where you have your concepts being built, your important points being told to you, helping you solve the questions, understanding your concepts. Most importantly, when we are preparing for entrance exam, there is a feeling of gloom and negativity. Doing this with a smiling person like Zainab and positivity is something which makes it very special. And finally, with love and blessings all around, I think BTR has a huge future in this nation and across the world. All the best to you, Zainab.
Thank you so
Bye
much.
bye.